She kicked out her daughter-in-law because she suspected her of dishonesty. Linda immediately disliked her son's fiancé. Sarah was tall, thin, wore glasses, and always tied her hair in a ponytail. She seemed to Linda not like a strict teacher, but rather a gray mouse, as Jason himself jokingly called her in telephone conversations. It's strange what he found in her. Linda shared her thoughts with her friend, Mrs. Wilson. He's talented, successful, works as a lawyer in a large company. He said that he has every chance of getting a promotion and becoming the head of the department. And she is so weak, she always looks at me as if she's studying. And what is she like in everyday life? Does she know how to do something, or is she lazy? Mrs. Wilson asked. My daughter-in-law is just awful. My Ben gets up first in the morning, makes coffee, makes toast, and then goes to wake her up for breakfast. When I saw that, I made such a fuss. No, Sarah is a good cook, Linda admitted reluctantly, remembering how the other day the girl had cooked a delicious steak with pumpkin puree and baked a wonderful apple pie. And the house is always tidy. Yesterday, while I was at the doctor's, she cooked and cleaned. That's true. Oh, so she's just being cunning, exclaimed Mrs. Wilson. She's pretending to be a housewife so she can get married sooner. Didn't you say Jason had recently moved? She just wants to be the housewife in his house. You're right, Terry, sighed Linda. I didn't even think about it. When Jason lived in a small apartment, Sarah wasn't interested in him. And as soon as he bought a spacious house in a nice neighborhood, she immediately appeared. How calculating she is, thought Linda. A plan was already forming in her head, which she called Saving My Son. Linda set about persuading Sarah. You understand that he has every chance of making a brilliant career, and marriage now will only get in the way. Why is that? Sarah was sincerely surprised. Because the family needs time, emotions, and Jason needs to focus on work, Linda explained. You don't want to slow him down, do you? Why are you in such a hurry? Are you pregnant? No. Why did you think that? Sarah felt irritation creeping up on her. We've been together for almost a year and decided to get married. Linda realized that talking wouldn't convince her, so she changed tactics. The next day, while Jason was at work, Haley, the daughter of her friend Terry Wilson, rang the doorbell. The girl came with a box of chocolate muffins and a bottle of champagne. Oh, Haley, I'm so glad to see you. Linda hugged her warmly. By the way, Jason and I are getting married soon, the guest said with a casual smile. Do you remember, Mrs. Davis, that we met in school? Of course, dear. You make a great couple, Linda replied. Sarah felt her insides go cold. Sarah, are you just Jason's colleague? Or? Haley asked with feigned curiosity. Yes, just a colleague, Sarah snapped angrily. She couldn't bear to hear this. Now she knew for sure. Linda would do anything to keep her and Jason apart. Why didn't you stay at a hotel? You would be more comfortable there, wouldn't you? You're right. That's better, Sarah replied dryly, and went to pack her things. She quickly threw her clothes, power bank, makeup bag, and a few small items into her backpack and started putting on her shoes. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she held them back so no one would see her pain and resentment. Sarah, where are you going? Jason had just returned home. To the hotel. Haley and your mom say I'll be better there, she answered, not looking him in the eye. Jason, my love. At that moment, Haley threw her arms around his neck, started hugging and kissing him. How I missed you! You said we were about to get married. Haley, stop it. The man barely freed himself from her embrace. We met back in school, and I never told you anything about getting married. At that moment, the front door slammed. Jason rushed to catch up with Sarah. But in vain. She had already called a taxi and disappeared into the night city. He returned home alone. It was clear that the conversation had not worked out. Mom, what have you done? He groaned, looking at Linda. How could you? I saved you and your apartment from this trick. That's what I did. What? What you hear? That Sarah is very cunning. She wanted to marry you because of your apartment. And then, again, a luxurious penthouse in the city center. She has a good mouth, and she wouldn't let you have a career. Believe me, in a month or two, she would announce that she was pregnant, and then that would be it. Goodbye, the position of head of the legal department. Mom. What apartment? It's her apartment, Jason breathed out. What? I moved in with her, and I rented out my little studio, and the owner of the company where I work is her father. He said that if I do my job well, I'll get a promotion. Jason looked at his mother. Mom, what have you done? Linda was silent. Jason couldn't sleep that night. He was torn apart by anger and despair. He dialed Sarah's number, but her phone was off. He left a message, but it remained unread. The next day, he went to her office, but she wasn't there. Sarah took a week off, the secretary said. A week. She didn't want to see him for a whole week. He didn't give up. He came to her apartment, left notes, tried to find her through friends, but she disappeared. It wasn't until 7 days later, when he had almost given up hope, that Sarah called herself. We need to talk. Her voice was calm but cold. They met in a small cafe, where they used to have breakfast. Sarah was serious, reserved, as if there was an invisible wall between them. Your mother despised me. I know, and I'm sorry. I didn't justify you to her in time. But now I know one thing. I can't live without you. He took her hands in his. For the first time in a week, she didn't pull them away. Are you ready to prove that I'm more important than your mother? I am. A month later, they were married, and Linda, reluctantly, accepted her son's choice. At the wedding, she sat silently in the corner, while her new daughter-in-law beamed beside Jason. And only when Sarah accidentally caught her eye did Linda breathe out and whisper, "Be happy."